Hello, Mr. O here, and welcome to the second part of digital animal drawing. And as you can see, I am choosing to do a Phoenix fox. Because if you remember in part one, I didn't really talk much about fur. And for most of you, because I know you're students, and by the way, that little box you can actually open in your drawing program and then make it smaller. I have a dual screen, so I usually just throw it over there so I can look at and have the full picture. Now this is Pixlr Editor, and I just want to show you something because it doesn't work with my artist display. I can move the mouse, I can use it as a cursor, but it will not draw for me. And oh, you know what? I say something and I just tested it. It didn't work, but this works. But as you can see, there's a delay. So there was probably a delay responding from before. No worries. I'm not going to really use it. But the reason I'm talking about Pixlr Editor, please watch that first video, find the video, how to load Pixlr Editor. I'm using the old version. If you go to Pixlr Editor, it'll show you all these new fancy. I haven't gone through those programs just yet. I don't know if they're free or if you have to pay for them. But if you scroll down on that blue page, you will see a link to the old. And then just follow the pattern if you don't know how to get to it. Like I said, just watch the first video. It shows and gives you the exact website. The reason I choose this because it's very much like Photoshop. It's a free program. As you can see, if you have an artist display like I do, you have to be slow and control. You can't go quick. And then turn because there's a lot of angle going on. Sorry for the squeaking. See it, as you can now see, the cursor is delayed, which is no big deal, but it might mess you up for those who are very detail oriented. So I'm actually going to use Photoshop, and as I told you, I'm going to draw a Phoenix fox, and the very first thing I do is just do in light blue, as you've probably seen in the other digital videos. I just start making shapes. Doesn't matter if my shapes aren't correct, if I overlap my lines, or if I do corrections. I'm not worrying about being perfect. These are just kind of like my guidelines, and that's all they are. And then when I go in with a final ink, that's where I draw. I want you to see how much of it actually lines up quite a bit, but the ears did not. And just take a look how I drew some of the lines. This allows me to use fur strokes instead of straight hard lines, and I'm a little more careful in drawing the details. If I get something crooked, I still have a chance to correct it. Now, even myself, who's done this very basic outlining and adding color before, even I made a mistake. I meant to do my colors on two different layers. I was going to have this splosh color where I use kind of a watercolor brush for the underline, and then I was going to go on top with fur. As you can see here, I did not separate my colors. I got it all on the same layer, so I kind of messed that up. Don't worry, and it's going to get kind of confusing because you're going to see me do the small fur in time lapse. I'm making these videos out of order, but I hope you guys will enjoy it. And ultimately, I will come back and I'm just going to work on it. And guys, this process, when you do an animal, and right now I'm just doing the animal, I'm not going to worry about the background. It's going to take a little time. Especially when you do all the details. As you can see, I have the different colors of fur right here, and I do that so it makes it easy to change. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will get back with you at the end. Okay, I am at a stopping point on this for the moment. And as in my other videos, I have my crutch that I have as my black outline. And if I want to make it darker, what I did is I just duplicated the final ink outline. The other thing I did is I was experimenting. There is like 100 different ways of doing fur. Some of them much better than the way I did. And what I did is I went with the smudging tool just to see if I like it, and then the other thing I can do is do a combination smudge and then go back in. What I'm going to do now is do a full background, and of course I'm going to do that on a completely separate layer. I'm going to go back to the bottom. You can't probably see the side of this, just where I'm going, and I'm going to go to my background layer, and I am going to draw a forest background. Now if you remember the picture of the Phoenix fox that I showed you, it didn't have a forest background, but I'm doing digital art, so I can combine different ideas, different places, and draw it however I want, because we need to have a background. This is an assignment I usually do with my 8th grade, and it's very important that they understand that there is a background, not just to do it, not to smudge it out, but when you're dealing with a texture lesson, you gotta show your texture. Now, for those of you who are more advanced, I challenge you not to use the black outline. Move away from that. And for any adult or anyone older, same thing. It's okay to start with it. It's a security blanket, but at some point we have to let go of the security blanket. Now, I'm not probably as advanced in digital art as even some of my students. So I kind of rely on it just for instruction versus when I have all the time in the world to put layer on top of layer. I hope that makes sense. Guys, hey, look for the 3rd video, which is going to be about background, and I'll probably have a little more time lapse in that. You guys are awesome. I'll see you next video. Bye-bye.